We're live.
Good evening, folks. And once again, we want to thank you for allowing us into your homes. We have a great show tonight. You would have to have been in a coma the last week to not be aware of some of the things that have been going on. This is, we're living in the middle of history. It's a lot of times, you look back on history and you say, well, I wonder what it was like, to have been around in the crash of 29. I wonder what it was like to have been around in World War. Well, we're in the middle of history now. And by that, I mean the insurrection that took place on January 6, 2021. Um, I talked to a friend of mine. I'll tell you a quick story, sort of relates to this. I had an artist I used to manage in Colombia, and she was in Miami, and she used to go back and forth. But when she was here, we used to do a lot of shows. And two of her relatives, one from Brazil and one from Venezuela, and we got to talking politics one night. And they both told me the same thing, especially the gentleman from Brazil. He said that when our country was becoming fascist, he said we saw the signs and we saw it kind of moving in that direction. He said, but nobody really took it seriously till it was too late. And he said, you guys are kind of moving in that direction. And the guy from Venezuela said the same thing. He said that when our country was being taken over by fat, he said we didn't really take it seriously. He said because nobody would believe it until it actually happened. And I think the events of January 6th made believers out of a lot of people about what actually is going on. Because it's easy, if you got a nice life and a lot of things don't affect you, but losing your democracy has the ability to affect everybody. And so I want to bring Mike in now to kind of kick us off on our conversation.
Thanks, Robert.
Hmm.
First thing I'd like to say is that, it's kind of disheartening that it happened the day after a very important race in Georgia was won for the Democrats. And it overshadowed, the accomplishments that, the people in Georgia did. Stacey Abrams and Deborah Scott and Cliff Albright and the organizations down there, the fraternities, sororities, the people that got the people out to vote. And when it happened, it was just like, how could this have happened? Because you could tell it was organized. It's the way that they did it that let you know that there was an underground current going on all the time with Facebook or Twitter, and because things, everybody's going to meet on this day. And we didn't find that out, until after that everybody seen the post that they had. And one guy was telling you what to bring, and bring a sleeping bag, bring food. And one guy comment on that comment and said, and bring a gun. And
Bring onion. You bring some onions too, because when you get tear gas in your face, the onion takes the sting away.
you know,
So
They also use milk too, yo. Put milk in your eyes. That gets it out, yeah.
but
so,
the
mhm.
thing that we have to look at is the consequences of what happened, not to the people that were actually doing the rioting and because number one, they didn't even say it was a riot for a while, because first they were just saying it was first they
Protest.
were downplaying, oh, it's a
Just a
protest.
little protest, man. Relax.
But in the emails and the texts and stuff, you say like, you don't bring a gun to a peaceful protest. You don't bring, pipe bombs to this was a war. This was a attempted coup.
Yeah, yeah.
Verl, what you say?
Yeah, Vera, why don't you just, for anyone who maybe had been in a coma the last week or out of country or on the space station that
That,
was not
that
aware of what happened,
headphones, walking
just
around with
kind of,
headphones.
yeah, just
Well,
kind of tell us the nature of what happened, exactly what went on.
it's kind of funny. First thing that came to my mind, remember back in the 70s,
Mhm.
Gil Scott Heron, the revolution will not be televised. Well, this time the revolution was televised.
Right.
We sat up there in our comfortable chairs
For
and
hours,
watched the actual coup
for
take
hours,
place
for hours.
Mhm.
for hours, for hours. it wasn't since 1814, the last time somebody destroyed the Capitol, or there was that kind of war. You know, the government taken over by a gang of thugs with a coup d'etat. You know, the richest, most powerful nation on earth spends over $780 billion a year on the military, more than the next 26 industrialized nations combined. So why did it take 4 hours to get help? 5 people dead, and our hearts go out to them and their families. But these people had no respect for the USA. Rioters stormed the halls of Congress.
Talk a little bit about what happened
and
how it developed. How it started. Talk a little bit about how it started.
You know, what my feeling was, this thing, as you gentlemen pointed out, it's been building for a long time, just simmering under the surface.
Right.
And you know, we're so busy with our daily lives or COVID or whatever else, you know, you're not really paying attention. But slowly and carefully, methodically, this thing is building. You know, we saw like years ago that the guy with the big fertilizer bomb blew up the federal building in Oklahoma.
Tim McVeigh.
Right. We saw what happened recently in was it Nashville or Knoxville?
Nashville,
yeah. Another big RV bomb this time. And so this group, and you know, Trump, these followers of him, Proud Boys, just one group, one faction of this thing. They have been planning and plotting. You know, we don't go to their chat rooms. We don't hear what they're talking about.
Right.
But they've been putting this thing together. You know, we see people. You know, it was captured and flagged, these little paintball games, but they were getting ready for the real thing. We see videos of them training how to shoot machine guns and what have you.
Yeah.
So this thing has been going on.
Yeah. The thing that happened that particular day, I just want to talk a minute. There was a rally. Trump had a rally, the Stop the Steal rally, where people came to the rally. And Donald Trump said, why don't you go down to the Capitol building? They say, and I think Mike Pence is gonna, you know, do his job. If he doesn't, well, maybe I won't like him so much. You know, it's almost like he was giving signals to these guys what to do.
He was.
And everybody left there and went to the Capitol building after he gave them instructions to go to the Capitol building. Now, granted, they may have planned to do that, to go to the Capitol building anyway. I think they did. But I think he kind of initiated this. And who knows, maybe they never planned to go to the Capitol building. Maybe they had a different plan. But, you know, the thing that was pretty disturbing is when they went to the Capitol building, Capitol Police were forewarned. They declined help. They declined help from the FBI. They declined help from the CIA. They declined help from the National Guard. And they said, oh, you know what? We got this. And I think that's why you saw the head of the Capitol Police resign so quick. You know, just like Chad Wolf, he resigned from Homeland Security. See, these people want to get the hell out of town because they kind of see things are kind of like falling apart now. So Chad Wolf was actually out of the country when this happened. So he may not have even planned to come back. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, that's kind of how the whole thing unfolded.
Well, let me tell you this. Let me say this when you finish. Let me say this. Well, this has been brewing for a while, just like Burley said. They knew exactly, what they were going to do. They had a poster we seen where they had a picture of the Capitol building with it torn, like it was torn, like a lightning striking through it, but it looked like it was torn. We're going to tear this up. And that was done like 3 or 4 weeks ago, or 3 or 4 weeks before it happened. And it said, occupy the Capitol building. We're going to occupy. Now,
see, their plan was to steal the votes.
Well, the thing is that I'm just saying they had a whole list of stuff they wanted to do. Because in one text, it said what they was going to kill Pelosi, they was going to kill Pence, they were going to
hang Pence,
they were going to kill the employees in the building. They had a whole list of stuff.
And they were going to take hostages. They had.
That's why they had the zip ties and stuff.
Yeah, they were going to take hostages. Yeah.
So it was a failed coup. But let me tell you, when I was researching Adolf Hitler just today, because I wanted to see what was going on, But this is basically what Hitler's plan was. You know, they had a failed coup. Now you gotta look at it like this. Basically, Trump got say a little less than half the voters. Uh, Biden got a little more than half. That's what made him, win. But Hitler, he only had 36% of the votes. He had 36%. Even though what he did is that when he cultivated his move and got his people together, they were to get other people in there, identify the Jews. They had them snitching on who's a Jew, who's this, who's a German Jew. In the 36 Olympics, remember, the Jews couldn't participate. The German Jews couldn't participate. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that if you look at it and you look at the rhetoric that the Republicans are saying, and if you go back and read about Adolf Hitler, these are the same things that they were fearing when Hitler was given the propaganda and stuff. They were talking about socialism, capitalism, and they were talking about these things. And you can see that that's basically what these Republicans are talking about now.
Right.
You got to get them out of there.
Yeah, and I think, Verl, did you have something? Did you want to chop in here?
Yeah, I was thinking, one of the things, in addition to the people like Clarence Thomas's wife helping to whip the mob into a frenzy in terms of some of her posts and everything.
Well, she paid for 70 buses. She paid for 70 buses also.
Right.
Bring people to the Capitol.
But just think about this. Mm-hmm. President Trump is the head of the executive branch of government. Mm-hmm. So you got the top guy in the country giving folks their marching orders and say, we're marching down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Capitol building. I mean, these folks think, well, I can't be doing wrong. The president is telling me to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just that sense of entitlement. No fear, nothing, no hiding their faces, nothing like that,
Well, that's because they felt that Trump had their back. He probably told them.
No, another thing is
they got mad at him. They got mad at him saying he said he had their back and he didn't. They got mad at him too.
But see, on those list of things that they had on the for the things when they come to the rally or to whatever they call it, to the riot, they had do not wear a mask. They had to put it on there. One of the things is now you going to do something illegal. It seems like you put thing all on your face, but they were proud of what they were doing and they thought to it. Did you see the lady who got sprayed with the mace in her eyes? Yeah. And they interviewed her and they said, she said, I got maced when she was crying. They maced me. I got maced in my eye. They said, well, why did you get to? Well, we were storming the Capitol building. They said, well, I got 1 foot in and they maced me. And they said, well, why would you want to go into the Capitol building? She said, because it's a revolution.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
no, but wait a minute. Did y'all see the guys who had the T-shirts that said Civil War, January 6th, 2021?
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't make them up that day.
They didn't.
But Mike, let me just jump in for 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
The revolution part. Usually a revolution takes place, it's based on an ideology. A riot is very based on personality. And that's what we're getting from Trump, because these people and their ideologies, they're all over the place, I mean, some Confederate flag, new flags, don't tread on me flag, American flag, Nazi flags. I mean, it's like a hodgepodge,
Yeah.
Like in Germany, it's illegal to fly the swastika. They put you in jail for that.
Well, it's illegal to hate speech is illegal too. And I want to talk real quick about freedom of speech, First Amendment, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech has its limits, and I think people are starting to realize that. Just about every platform took Trump down. The Amazon Web Service took Parler off of it. Because there are consequences to freedom of speech if it's hate speech. You know what I'm saying? So I I kind of I've always thought myself as a constitutionalist, but sometimes, freedom of speech may have its limits. I think it does have its limits.
Well,
I think the whole thing about shouting fire in a crowded theater.
right, we can't yell bomb on
Yeah.
a plane,
You can't yell bomb on a plane. If you want to get arrested, say the word bomb 3 times standing at the airport and see how quick you get pulled out of line. But I want to talk about, people always talk about people, and there was this one guy, the one that sat behind Nancy Pelosi's desk, and his neighbor turned him in, and he asked the neighbor, so why would you turn him in? He says, I've known this guy, man. He said, I can't believe that he would do something like this, and I don't think this is who he is. He says his wife is our physician. He's got 5 kids, and he's just like a regular dad. And people talk about, well, how did they get radicalized? Well, I tell you, I was reading about contagion experiments. There's experiments that some social media has done, particularly Facebook, and they're called emotional contagion experiments. And what they do is they found that emotional states can be transferred from one person to the other via what they call emotional contagion. So it's leading people to experience the same emotions without their awareness. In other words, you can go on Facebook and judging by, they determine by what you like to look at, what kind of ticks you off and what moves you this way. So they can adjust your news feed to show you things that can make you feel a certain kind of way. Yeah. And I think a lot of these people, when they say, well, I didn't know that he was like that, I think a lot of them have become manipulated. I won't say manipulated, because a lot of times when they do things without your awareness, it's almost like you're not a willing participant.
Programmed.
Yeah, and if you look up emotional contagion through social networks, I mean, this is some pretty wicked stuff, man. And just today, I read about Amazon has an app called Amazon Halo. This is a fitness app, and what surveillance capitalism does, it extracts your data for another use, your personal data. Now, Amazon has this app called Halo. It's a fitness app. And this app is really, really crazy. I mean, because it tells you, it has you speak certain phrases. So it learns your speech patterns. You have to take pictures of yourself in different outfits. It looks at your body type. It looks at your facial expressions. So it's collecting a lot of information to be used in their contagion experiments. And see, that's what I'm saying. They collect this without your awareness. A lot of people would say, oh, this is a fitness tracker. Well, the fitness tracker does things like it body shames you if you're overweight to try to get you to lose weight. And what it does, it uses AI to manipulate people into certain actions. Now, just the same way they could manipulate you into losing weight, they could manipulate you into going to the Capitol building and take over the Capitol. Because what they do by your news feed, if you put something on your news feed like, I love Mitch McConnell, you start getting similar things that from people that love Mitch McConnell, and they know how to send certain things to you if they really feel like you love Mitch McConnell, to make you love him even more. And when they do that, it makes you more attached to that app. That's why people can't stay off their phones.
Yeah, they say we pick them up about 70 times a day.
Yeah, they can't stay off of social media, man. But this emotional contagion is, emotional states can be transferred, and they can manipulate the way you feel and what you do and where you go.
And
But Robert, haven't they been doing that for a long time? Subliminal suggestion.
Well, this is way beyond
persuasion.
Yeah, but this is way beyond subliminal suggestion.
I mean, but that's an outgrowth. How do we move this person in a certain direction? Buy Coca-Cola, eat popcorn. Yeah. And I mean, that was in the 50s. So now with AI and all the technology they got pushing that down your throat.
Yeah,
They know what you're going to get up and do.
AI, they don't even have to do it. The AI will pick up your mannerisms. It'll look at your pictures on Facebook, on Google. and they can tell, you know, when you're pissed off. Maybe you did a video, you say, "Oh God, I really blah 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 blah," and you know, analyze your facial expression, so they know kind of like what makes you tick and what moves you. So if they want to move you in a certain direction, and it used to be, they would move people in a direction to make them spend money, you know, but then Obama and Trump came along and used this to make people go to the polls and vote.
Yeah, we understand that, Rob, but let me
Yeah,
tell you something. Let me tell you
yeah,
something. Some of them just some out and out racists. That's
yeah. They are out now racist, but what this does too is
I
this kind
understand
of
what you're saying.
yeah, this exacerbates what you are, and it
So,
makes it
so
makes
you're saying those on the fence have been moved just to jump over on one side or the other?
no doubt about it, man. No doubt about
Right. I believe that. I can believe
You
that.
know, you know, you had a lot of people weighing in. I mean, you had everybody weighing in on this and stuff. They had experts, disperts, experts.
it.
They had everybody. But one of the besides you know, the people who were with the election down in Georgia, the most profound statements that were being made was from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if y'all saw that. But
Yeah, I saw it.
if
Yeah,
you haven't got a chance to see that, see
yeah,
what he said. The
yeah,
Terminator, see what the Terminator said.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I
yeah.
watched him and I was just like, yeah, you know, that's exactly right. You know, but these people that did this, you know, like I said, they can't get everybody, but they're gonna find there's a deeper thread in this fabric. There's a deeper thread in this fabric, and they're gonna find out because that's what they taking cell phones and they do it like you see it on the First 48 or Crime 360 and all, where they gonna ask you, what is this? And let me see your phone. They're gonna go through the phone and this is gonna run deeper. They've been talking to congressmen, they've been talking to senators, they've been talking to people, the police department, you know, sympathizers.
Well, they got yeah,
Hey, one of the craziest things, just like you said, um, you know, they've got 70 buses, 70 buses for people to come. There was a lot of money put into this. There was a lot
Right.
of
That's
money.
what I was going to say, Mike. Well financed and well organized.
There you go, because see, they said now you have people like Blue Cross and a lot of banks, all these people that donate money to the senators. And they said they're not going to donate money no more to the people that was involved in this, the ones that was trying to go for the coup. And I was just looking at the list of people and big organizations and finance companies. I said, why do you have to donate to these senators that make more money than we do?
Yeah.
well, I think what happens a lot of times too when you have things like this insurrection, you know, maybe you have maybe 50 hardcore people there, and what they do is they get the other people whipped up in a frenzy. You know,
Right.
I guarantee you, there's probably some people who just wanted to go to DC and hear the speech and come home. They wound up at the Capitol, going inside, doing something that they probably didn't plan to do. And there were people who had some things premeditated that knew they could manipulate those people and get them to do that.
Okay, what about the 800-pound gorilla in the house? What about the 800-pound gorilla?
Which one?
Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
Oh, you talk about the
What do you
comparison?
mean?
Yeah. Well, if Mike is alluding to the fact that when Black Lives Matter had their peaceful protest,
Right.
and the army came out there armed to the teeth, helicopters, a military presence that could stop a small army. And then when these Trumpites came for their meeting,
they was opening up the door for them.
Yeah.
taking selfies with them,
On one video, look, on one video, you can see that the guy asked her, where's Pelosi's office? And the guy says, well, you have to go. I'm just like, Claiborne, Claiborne
See, Mike, that's a good point too. We don't know how deep this thing goes,
hey,
or most people don't realize the severity of what happened. I mean, when you could attack the richest country in the world, most powerful, and in their citadel, and walk through the halls of Congress and try to get at and actually punish and or maybe kill, our elected officials. That's some serious. This is actually, it was an insurrection.
Wait a minute. Have you seen the Capitol building?
Yeah,
Have you
big.
seen the cap? Man, it run for like 4 blocks.
Yeah.
That's how big it is. I
Just
saw it.
big.
I was there. I got a friend of mine that live in DC, and I went past the castle. When does this thing end? You know, it's a big mofo building.
It's pretty big, yeah.
But can you imagine people wandering around there for 4 hours, rummaging through the senator's desk and everything?
But you had their leader, and I think this is going to eventually come out too. There was a reason why they withheld law enforcement support.
Because I heard Trump was asking him to hold the National Guard at the back.
Trump still didn't even, he wasn't even the one that called out the National Guards. It was Pence.
No.
It was right, because Pence's life was in danger.
No, Pence gave the order to have the National Guard come.
But
Trump would not do it.
Let me tell you this.
Right.
Trump would not do it. Yeah.
Hey, y'all be cool. Let me tell you this. Did y'all see the video today where they was watching the whole thing? Trump and his family and his boys, they were watching it in the back, they said somewhere, and they had it on the.
They were in the White House. They were in the White House. Yeah.
Okay, they were in the White House, no matter where they were. But they were watching it and they were laughing and they was cheering them on. This is the president cheering them on. Then he turned around, looked at the people that were saying, "Whoa, this is crazy." And he was mad at them because they were, his daughters, his son, they was like, "Yeah, look at this. And they was bouncing around like, man, it was a wedding reception.
But see, Trump is trying to figure out a way to stay on.
I'm gonna calm down.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out a way to stay in office.
Right.
If they could have kidnapped Pelosi and Pence and about 50 or 60 senators, took all the ballots and burned them, that might have delayed things.
Did that make him a pirate?
No, but I'm saying he could have made a good case for, civil insurrection and rebellion and declared martial law.
See, can you imagine if that had happened? Then the Army and the FBI and the CIA have to make a decision. Whose side are we on?
Martial law.
Are we a nation of laws or men?
I think they already made that decision. I think if you listen.
Well, they're acting on it now. But it's interesting how few arrests were made that day. They were basically just let them out. It was like a big field trip to the White House.
But that's like when they withheld support, law enforcement support. And see, the DC police, they have no jurisdiction at the Capitol or the White House. That's like out of their jurisdiction. They have to have permission to go in to send DC police in. And they couldn't get permission. The governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, wanted to send, he had the Maryland Guard on standby. He wanted to send them in, but you have to get permission from the Department of Defense. And he took him almost 2 hours to get permission. Yeah.
That's a good point, because that they call it the 10-mile square. It's not really a part of the United States. This is corporation, and it's sort of, even though we make the laws and everything here, it's got its own autonomy. It's like a little country. That's why they want to make DC into the 51st state or something.
Right. They want to give it statehood, but they won't give it to it. But see, that's why the mayor, she had asked, because remember, this didn't start that day. It started the night before. They had a clash with the DC police the night before. The mayor asked for National Guard help them, but like I said, there's no governor there. They had to go to another one, but they still didn't get there. But see, people say, well, they had to let them go. It was too many. No, because all they had to do was bring the National Guard in, the police, all law enforcement, circle them around, sat them down, put the zip ties on them, and took them by bus over to the stadium and let them all sit in the stadium. There's enough seats in the stadium. They could have held them.
Well, the Department of Defense would not authorize the National Guard to come in.
Isn't that something?
But see, this is what I'm saying. We know all
the Capitol Police. Listen.
We ain't stupid.
But the Capitol Police refused to help.
We understand that.
When the DC police said, "Do you guys need help?" Because they got over 4,000 DC police officers. She said she could send 2,500 in there.
But
they refused to help. They refused.
Robert, going back to.
I bet you if it was 35,000 black people, they'd have maintained the equality.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Mike, going back to your point about that 800-pound gorilla in the room, you know.
Politically correct, Rob, and I'm just saying, I know you want to be politically correct, but I ain't got to do that.
But you know that, Mike.
But that goes without saying. That goes without saying. We know there's a racial component to it.
Right.
And it's racial. There's anti-Semitic.
Right.
It was anti-Mike Pence. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, and Mike
Nancy Pelosi. So
they wanted to kill Pelosi. They wanted to kill Mike Pence. They wanted to kill the workers of the Capitol building.
Yeah.
They had that stuff up there weeks before this happened.
Yeah, and it's it's a racial component. It's one of the main threads that run through that. But
Robert,
my point is that it's more than that. It's more than just race.
Let me give you
right. But you know what? Hold up, Robert. You can't downplay that racial component.
Who's downplaying it? Who's downplaying it?
If just 2 weeks before, they have all this military, they can bring the military in there when it's stopping a black parade.
Right.
But when somebody's trying to take over the government, they don't bring them in. I'm not getting that, man. It's not computing, you know.
But Verl, this is one of the things that I'm saying is that they got all these messages. That's what I'm saying. They got all these messages.
Yeah.
Even Trump said 2 weeks ago, watch and see what happens on January 6th. Watch and see.
Well, see, that's the thing. We within our military budget, we got all this big intelligence community. They monitor all those hate groups. They knew this was coming.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm wondering, was some of it supposed to happen so they could enforce martial law and get rid of freedom of speech?
But Verl, that's my point exactly, because remember, Martin Luther King, his phone was bugged. Angela Davis, Dick Gregory. You can go all down all the people's phone who was bugged, and they try to get him in all kind of stuff. They knew what was going on. They knew what was happening. They knew what.
What do you think their objective was?
I think they want to enforce martial law.
Insurrection. No, the people that committed insurrection. What was their objective? Do you think? What do you think their objective was?
I think that they was just there to disrupt everything and to actually try to force. Well, see, it was a diversion, because what Trump did is that while that was going on, while they was watching TV, he called up to the Senate and said, "Look at that out there. See, look at it. They want me. They want me." He said, like, that was his case. That if you want this to stop, y'all got to make me president. That's what it was about.
Yeah,
that's what it was about.
And then the other question is, who's pulling his strings?
And who's
financing all this stuff?
I'm glad you said that, because see, there's a reason. Robert, if you got into a fight, got your butt kicked, you just hey, fight another day or leave it alone and go.
Mm-hmm.
He got his butt kicked in the election. There's some underlying reason. I don't know if he was going to just go ahead and give the United States to Putin or what, but there's a reason so bad that he wanted to be president again. He knows.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple reason.
Okay.
You know what it is?
I like simple.
He didn't want to go to jail, man. He didn't want to do no time. That's a lot of,
Yeah, the attorney general from New York, that woman said she's gonna slap the cuffs on him.
That's a lot of incentive,
But that's what I'm saying. There's a reason.
Yeah, that's the reason. That's the reason.
I can't refute that. I can't refute that.
You know why I don't think he's gonna go to jail? I think he got so many of those tapes from Epstein when they raided his island. Right. He got some crap on everybody, Yeah. So he says, okay, if you arrest me, I'm gonna let this senator stuff out. Or this one, all of this stuff is about to hit the fan, and this is just the beginning of it. They're planning stuff for the 17th and beyond. And even though they say the 17th, we don't know if it's the 16th or the 15th or right after.
Right.
So this country is going through
the only way this can happen, and this can go on, insurrections and all these things, is if the people in charge allow it.
Yeah, well, they know. They know now.
They allow it. They allow it. The Army, do you realize the Army, if they wanted to, they could stop this in about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
With 3 or 4 helicopters and a couple of mortar brigades, they could stop this in about 3 minutes.
You know, you was in military. You went to military school. You know. I was in ROTC for a minute, and the thing is that like when they hit the World Trade, the Twin Towers, that second plane was not supposed to hit because when that first one hit, it was like it could have been war. The drill was that I was in Air Force ROTC down in Kent State, and they got a plan after Pearl Harbor that within 2 minutes, everything they got supposed to be in the air. Everything they got supposed. So it was 5, 6 minutes, 10 minutes before that other plane hit. So I'm just saying.
I think the plane. I don't want to say this, but Osama bin Laden, the bin Ladens, the Saudi family.
One of the richest families in the world.
And they was pretty good friends with some of the politicians here.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Matter of fact, on 9/11, they were the only people that were allowed to fly.
Yeah, even during that no-fly time when you said nothing
they
else
let them fly back home. They let them fly back home. Yeah. So they were in pretty tight, So
we know, but I'm just saying.
And, the truth would come out. The truth would come out eventually, but I don't think it was just bin Laden wanted to fly 2 planes into the tower. I think
it was more to it than that, and that's all I'm saying. There's more to it. It was more people involved, and that's just it. And
well, they say the one plane that
they took over.
They got shot down in Pennsylvania. The one they said crashed.
No, they didn't shoot it down. They didn't shoot it down.
They shot it down because they found parts of the plane 18 miles from other parts, which means there was an explosion in midair.
Robert, did you ever see
Let me tell you something. When a plane crashes, you find everything right there within a half mile or so.
Right.
Everything's right
Robert,
there.
Robert, let me ask you something. Did you ever see a video called Loose Change?
No, I didn't.
You got to see that. They break down that whole thing. Like when they went to Pennsylvania, they were saying, hey, man, this isn't a crash. This is like somebody started a fire and threw some rubble out there, some junk. This is what the highway patrolman on the ground said. Because you know what? There was no fuselage.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when the Pentagon got hit. They said no, it wasn't a plane. It looked like a cruise missile, the way the hole was made.
Well, and there was no when a plane gets blown up in midair, you find the pieces. They could be 5, 10, 15, 20 miles from apart. And the spread pattern of this plane was indicative of something that had blown up in the air. When a plane crashes, I mean, you see pictures of plane crash. Everything is right there, man.
Right.
Okay.
Everything is right there.
Let me.
So that plane blew up before it hit the ground.
Hey, let me stop y'all. Because see, this is what's going on. I didn't mean to go onto the plane like that. What I'm saying is that there's more to it than you think, and that's all. Now let's cut.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's more severe.
You know what? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't consider myself a conspiracy theorist. But a lot of people thought that the one plane.
Man, I thought we was off the plane.
No, wait a minute. Let me tell you where I was going with this.
You're gonna get the parachute in a minute. Go ahead.
That one plane that went down in PA was supposed to be headed for the White House.
Okay.
Robert, your homework, Robert, I want you and Mike to look at this video. Hey, hold up.
Okay.
Mike, and you guys, everybody listening who hasn't seen this video.
Can we fly back to our subject?
Yeah, but this is important. There's a video called Loose Change that breaks that down.
Okay.
I want y'all to check that out. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
So what happened on the 6th was
I love y'all. I love y'all.
It was the start of the Civil War.
I don't know if it's ever had anything like that has ever happened in this country before. Maybe it has.
1814.
1814. Okay. And I think a lot of times, people can have dual loyalties. They can be loyal to the country and they can be loyal to something else. They can be loyal to a certain philosophy. They can be loyal to a racist philosophy. And they can be loyal to the country also.
Did you hear what President-elect Biden said? He said, you don't be loyal to the president. You be loyal to our people.
To the Constitution. Yeah, you're loyal to the Constitution.
Right.
Yeah, you know, but interestingly enough, some of these people actually thought they were patriots. You know,
Yeah.
they believed the unproven stories that Trump had been telling them.
Dude, if you live in a bubble with this contagion experiments, and you live and you go on Parlor, and then you watch, they don't even watch Fox News. They say Fox News is too liberal now. And they live in a bubble, and that's all they get inundated with. It gives them a worldview that's much different than somebody that actually might watch different news channels, or but it gives them a worldview where they probably, the stuff that they watch and the social media they were affiliated with, they did think it was a revolution. I remember back in the late 60s and early 70s, a lot of black people thought there was going to be a violent revolution.
There was.
People were preparing for it. You had the Black Liberation Army. People were stockpiling arms. They thought, and a lot of the left wing, the I won't say radicals, but the leftists or the left wing people believe in left wing philosophy. They thought it was great. We're planning for a revolution.
Well, you know what? Even during that time, the CIA and the government had actually set up some of these black groups so that they could find out who these potential militants and insurrectionists were. They joined these organizations, and then they basically shut them down. And I heard that the nationalists were planning something in New York, but what happened was they had planned a whole takeover. But what happened was they cut the phones off on them, and the brothers didn't have cell phones or field phones or walkie-talkies or everything, so they couldn't communicate.
Is that kind of like taking them off of Twitter? Is that similar?
I'm sorry?
Does that correlate to taking somebody down from Twitter?
No. No, but you were going back in terms of the revolution.
That's like
never been tried before.
That's like putting them in time out.
Yeah. But
see, let me tell you, one of the senators, Congress people, I didn't get her name because I was just like, half asleep, but she said, what happened to the intel? How come nobody infiltrated these groups? And I'm just saying, they infiltrated every day. They brought down the mafia with Donnie Brasco.
But listen, that's Trump's call, man. Why do you think Trump replaced the Department of Defense, head of Department of Defense? He replaced all these guys, Homeland Security.
Right.
Guy at Homeland
Putting
Security.
all these people in place, that's right.
They put all these people in place so they could shut down these investigations.
Believed in the stuff that he believed in.
Yeah, well, they could shut down investigations too.
Well, that's what Trump has said. He said to him, loyalty is the most important thing. That's the law.
Yeah. Well, see, that's why he thought he would lose in the Supreme Court, because he had mentioned that, it was his Supreme Court. Yeah. He was the one that put the Supreme Court together and got these other judges. And he was mad because, they didn't go, for his nonsense.
Okay. All right. What happened was pretty wild. So where do we go from here?
Yeah, we got to stay woke.
Where do we go from here? What do we do to pull the country together? Do we just kind of look past this?
No. You know what,
bring everybody together? Do we have to hold the people accountable? There needs to be an investigation.
All of the above.
There needs to be an investigation to find out exactly what happened and who was involved.
We got to have that. The only question is the people investigating, are they part of this whole conspiracy? But you and Mike had said something a minute ago, and it was, they could shut this thing down anytime they want to. But it all depends on how deep in the rabbit hole we go and how deep the tentacles of this shadow government, how deep they are, because, and the question is, if they're not willing to stop these folks, then what do we have to do? That's my question. And all I can say is, be prepared. Like when we were in the Boy Scouts, be prepared. Have some food in your house, kerosene lamps, have some guns. If you have to protect your family, we've got that right.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to hear that. I don't want war.
I don't want to say I think we give them too much credit, because I think, that one of the things about terrorists is the most effective thing about terrorists is the psychological impact they have on people. And a lot of times they make you they make you afraid, and they appear to be a bigger boogeyman than they actually are. Now, these are real live boogeymen, no doubt about it.
Well, it took them some hours before they even called them terrorists. When they were out,
Yeah.
when they took
But
computers
yeah,
and they
yeah,
took stuff and they
yeah,
defecated
yeah.
in the hallways and stuff. Man, they just called. They were still calling them protesters. Man,
Well, that's because
it-
Trump didn't
that
want
was
them caught. That's because
that was
Trump.
But
looting.
Yeah,
see that's
They
his
Trump
were
didn't
thing.
want.
looters.
He didn't want them. He didn't want them to be called terrorists.
They
That's
they
what I'm
But
they
see,
saying.
they looters. They was looting.
hmm
They
Trump
was
said they were
stealing
protesters.
stuff. There was just there
yeah,
was vandalism. They,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
on I
they
saw
were
on
everything except what they were, domestic
right,
terrorists.
yeah,
exactly. They had a nice word for them.
mhm, yeah.
Oh, they're not they're not
So
terrorists.
as a practical matter, I think voting has accomplished a couple things. I think voting has gotten Biden elected, which I think Biden would be more willing to stand up to these people than Trump was.
Can I
Would you guys agree to
let me
that?
know, Rob? I got something to tell you.
Would you agree to that?
If
Would you agree to that?
If we hold his feet to the fire,
Right.
and the other thing is we got
Uh-huh.
control of the Senate thanks to the hardworking people
Yeah,
in Georgia
and we got
and
control of the Senate
and
from
black
voting.
folks.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
this is the whole thing because I'm trying to get in touch with the people down in Georgia now.
Mhm.
But we need to have a national organization connected because if we want to find out, I want to bring them on the show to tell them exactly, so they can tell us exactly what they did. Because when I read the thing for the Stand Up Georgia, they said they started this 13 years ago.
They did.
13 years ago. And I'm saying I'm trying to get somebody from their organization, Stacey Abrams or Deborah Scott or somebody, hey, the secretary, the receptionist or somebody to come in and tell us how they did it. And we can pattern after that because see, we got to hold them people accountable that was with Trump. We got to get them out of office. And we're not saying, make everybody Democrat. If you got some Republicans that are good and for the people, we don't mind them neither. But
Yeah.
we are the ones that have to do this. We got to get together, organize, and let them know that we ain't for this nonsense no more. We're gonna run it like it's supposed to be ran, and that's it.
Yeah,
I think Trump, I think Trump did some good things. I think he did one good thing in particular.
We're waiting.
He woke you up.
Okay.
It's funny you said that.
He woke you up.
Hey,
He
Robert,
woke all of us up.
hey,
You know
hold
what I'm
Hold
saying?
Ain't going
Robert,
to sleep
check it out.
again.
Louis
Next time I go
Farrakhan
to
said
sleep,
that
I'll
when,
be in the casket.
Yeah,
hey, listen,
he woke a lot of people up, man.
Yeah.
Robert, listen.
And I
Louis
think that's
Farrakhan said that when Trump got elected. He said he's a good for you because he's gonna have his foot so deep in your butt, you're gonna have to come together and wake up. That was
he
Farrakhan.
woke a lot of people up. And see, he also
And we haven't heard from him yet, but we know he's saying something. But the media is not going to ask him anything.
Yeah, see, he also woke a lot of
Maybe we can get Farrakhan on the show.
Yeah, let's try it.
yeah. He also woke a lot of people up that are not people of color because they always felt Trump was for them. And now he double crossed them. I mean, he even double crossed Pence, man.
Yeah, when you're
You know what
ready
I'm
to throw
saying?
your vice president under the bus,
Yeah.
it's
He double
this is
crossed
not the
Pence and
guy.
everybody, man, And Donald Trump Jr. said that, he said, you guys, he said, this ain't the Republican Party anymore. This is the
Donald
Donald Trump Party. He
We
said
right.
ain't no more
Imagine
Republican
that.
Party. So
But
I think he's alienated a lot of people, man. So we'll see. A lot of people voted for Trump, and they had some people on that said they weren't really, if they'd have known this was going to happen, they might not have voted for him. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think
he showed his colors from the first time he came in here.
Yeah, if you had
Even
your eyes
before
open.
he got elected. He
Yeah,
wanted
if
to
you had your
grab the
eyes
kids
open,
by
yeah,
the meow and all that stuff.
Yeah. With that whole thing with the birther thing with the birth certificate, that was pure racist. With the Mexicans building a wall, he built his whole organization was built on racism, misogyny, homophobia. I mean, that's how
Polarization. Yeah.
polarization. divide and conquer. You know,
they knew that he had been having sex with underage girls. It's like that 14-year-old girl that came out before. This was long before he even decided to run. And what did he say when he was running? He said, "Hey, you know, he was a Democrat. He said, if I was running, I'd run as a Republican because they'll believe anything you say." You know?
Yeah, he did say that. Yeah,
he did say that.
Yeah.
He said that. I remember. I think he said that to Oprah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but I think moving forward, I think you know, sometimes things happen. It takes things happen to kind of wake people up. You know, it's like, you know, I had somebody say to me once, a neighbor of mine, he said, "Well, I think this whole thing with the COVID is you know, it's not true, man. You know, it's a farce. It's fake news." He said, I don't believe it. This has really happened. You know, I don't think COVID is really that big of a problem." He said, "Because I don't know anybody that had COVID." Well, his mother-in-law got COVID-19 and passed away. Now he's singing a different tune.
Different tune.
So see, until things affect you personally, you know, you might not be so eager to believe them. You know,
and I'm glad you said that because there was a lady, and they play the commercial all the time that, you know, where this lady said she was holding a lady's hand while she was dying in the hospital, and she still didn't believe COVID existed, and she was dying, and said, you know, it's it, and she died, and she died saying that COVID didn't exist. And if you saw on the interviews on CNN, they had a guy who they interviewed, and he said, "Man, he said COVID is a hoax, man. That's something that the Democrats did. You know, we don't believe that."
Yeah, see, and they'll follow. A lot of times when people, you know, when you have like a cult, a lot of people follow the cult leader to a certain point. You know, some people go all the way.
I don't know about that certain point. Jim Jones.
You know, okay, let me ask you that.
Jones,
the people that said that COVID was a hoax, how many of them drank bleach?
Some of them did.
Some of them did. How many of them drank bleach?
Some of them did.
Think about that. They might go along with it, but most of them, when it comes to drinking the bleach, that's where I draw the line. Drinking bleach, you know.
Well, no, but I'm just saying it was a bunch of them that did that.
Yeah, it was some that did it. Yeah.
You know that when we get on that COVID, that's a whole different show. Because there's so many different angles to that. But I'll tell you this: how many of you are going to take the vaccine?
Well, I'm taking the vaccine.
You are?
Yeah.
Good for you, Mike.
I think I'm gonna take it too.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? If all you guys take it, then I don't need it because I won't be able to get it.
That's what a lot of people do.
I'm not taking the vaccine.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take it. I think it's been proven safe.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I think it's been proven safe.
And if it starts to break down people, I say, well, I know I'm one of the last ones to go.
Maybe they'll run out by the time they get to you.
Yeah, but you know, moving forward, I think you know, it'd be interesting to see how Biden proceeds. You know, he looks like he's putting together a heck of a cabinet. You know, and if they truly have independence, like he said they will, you know, the Attorney General.
Well, you know, we got to help him. See, we got to help him. Yeah. We got to help him. We have to, in fact, you know, I'm going to be talking to our honorable Congresswoman Marsha, and you know, because I asked her in 2009.
Congresswoman Fudge, man, Marsha. She was Marsha in high school. Now she's Congresswoman Fudge. Okay?
Congresswoman Fudge. All right, no disrespect, Congresswoman Fudge. But the thing is, I asked her in 2019. We were over in Akron at the Block 3 concert, and ran into each other. And I was like, you know, just asked her, so what do we have to do to get this dude out of office to make things better? And she said, hey, get everybody to vote. And we did that. You know, we did our part. We can't say that we didn't. We did our part. And the thing is, you know, we're going to go to her again, and we're going to say, Councilwoman Fudge, could you please?
Congresswoman.
Well, she knows she's Secretary of HUD now.
She'll be secretary next week, I guess.
Yeah. So we go and talk to her how we can help Biden, how we can. And one of the things that Biden has to do, okay, President-elect Biden, you know, to ask, how can we help, you know, to make a statement and to keep him, you know, and he's already doing it because see, like I said, we didn't know the trouble that President Obama was having. We didn't know, but the first thing about a week or two ago, in the transition, Biden came on TV and said, "Hey, I'm having problems with these people. They won't track. This is what, and that's what we need more of. You know, if somebody's giving them a problem, then we're gonna have to start a campaign where we send letters or whatever we can do and tell these people, hey, you know, you got an election coming up or this coming up. You need to support our president."
Well, I think you know it's I think it's you know one of the main issue is you know we have a democracy and you have certain institutions that have sort of worked pretty good. They haven't worked for everybody, so one of the things we have to do is make them work for everybody. But I think what Trump did was he exposed a lot of weaknesses in the system. You know, I look at him as kind of like a hacker, you know, like that works for IBM or something. You know, what he does is he tries to break in companies to expose the weaknesses in the system. So I see that Trump has exposed a lot of weaknesses in the democratic system so they can be corrected. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, you know, I think a lot of things will change. I think that pardon power is going to change. You know, I mean, you could do whatever you want and then get a pardon and you can walk away scot-free. You know, it's already starting to change because in New York now they passed a law that if you get a federal pardon, that doesn't apply in the state of New York.
Right.
So I think he exposed a lot of things, and I think a lot of things will be changing. You know, to make you know the country better. You know. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Well, once again.
How about them Browns?
Huh?
How about them Browns?
Okay, as soon as we're gonna have to cut out 1 minute early.
Okay.
You know why?
Yeah, Ohio State.
Ohio State at 8 o'clock.
Well, you got something else. Well, let me just say this. We've reached a very crucial time in our nation's history.
Okay.
What we see is because of what's happened, the presidential election, what happened in Georgia, what's going to take place in the Senate. Mm-hmm. You know, we see a new America emerging. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the old guard, this other force on the other side, wants to maintain that status quo. So there's this collision of these different ideologies. And it's up to us to make sure that this change takes place. It's painful. It's like giving birth, you know, but we see the beginning of it, you know. So we just got to make sure it's continued until this new America is totally born.
Yeah, it's and you know, I think a lot of societies, a lot of countries go through this. You know, they change. You know, I mean, everything. You know, somebody used to say, I forgot who it was, nothing constant but change. You know, and I mean, look, you know, the Browns scored 28 points against Pittsburgh in the fourth quarter.
Hey, you know, it's a new day here.
You know, it's a new day in America, man. You know, so with that, we certainly appreciate your time. You know, we thank you for your time, but unfortunately ours is up. But I thought we had a great conversation, and hopefully we provoked some thought. You know, and maybe somebody will want to get involved who wasn't inclined to get involved before. You guys have any closing thoughts?
Well,
I just gave mine, but
okay.
You know, let's keep the pressure up and let's make some changes for the positive in this country.
All right. The thing I can say is, you know, keep an eye on everything and you know, make sure that you know, we hold people accountable for what they said they're going to do, and if they're not, get them out.
That's right. And I would just say you have to make your country and your community better. If you don't make it better, it'll just continue to get worse. So with that, we'll see you next week.
Go Bucks.
All right. Go Buckeyes. Okay.